have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power,
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am
I am
tired,
tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Hey, a great big good morning, everybody, on a Thursday, May 15. So good to see you today. And thank you for getting up early to join us here on the Bill Press Show, coming to you live all across this great land of ours on Free Speech TV. Got a satellite dish. You can catch us on the Dish Network or on DirecTV. And on our video stream worldwide, everywhere on this great planet of ours, we are there on Talker TV, TAWKR TV, youtube.com/Talker TV, with lots to talk about today. President Obama in New York City. This morning he will dedicate the September 11 Memorial Museum at Ground Zero with the First Lady. Then he'll be back at the White House about 12:30 this afternoon. And the Clintons are firing back at Karl Rove for his suggestion that Hillary Clinton may have suffered brain damage in that fall at her home a year or so ago. Bill Clinton yesterday took on Karl Rove. Hillary Clinton talked about it in a speech here in Washington, D.C., and her spokesperson said Karl Rove is all wet, that Hillary is 100% in perfect health. It seems like the Clintons are in full campaign mode, doesn't it? Already. And on top of the UN report about the impacts of global impacts of climate change already, on top of the White House report that climate change is impacting every area of this country, yesterday we had a report from the Center for Naval Analysis, retired generals and admirals who warned that unless we do something about it, climate change poses a great threat to national security. What is it going to take before Congress acts and people like Marco Rubio start believing in climate change? All of that to talk about. You can join the conversation. Remember, anytime by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Good to have you with us this Thursday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university?
And, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
TV and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Fired up and ready to go on a Thursday morning. Hey, good morning, everybody. May 15 it is. Can you believe it? We're already halfway through the month of May. The state of Maine, the month of May. Good morning, and welcome to the Bill Press Show. Here we are, right on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. We're waiting for something to happen in Washington. Seems like nothing ever happens in Washington these days, but whatever it is, we'll bring you up to date on the goings-on here in our nation's capital, as well as what's happening around the country and around the globe. Wrap it all up and deliver it to you, and then you can tear it apart and tell us what you think about it. That's what we do for the next 3 hours here every day on the Bill Press Show. And don't forget, your ticket to join the conversation is by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS, or sending us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And you got lots of ways to do it, whether you're listening on your local progressive talk radio station. We welcome all of you and all of our affiliates around the country. Great to have you with us. You can be listening also on the Progressive Voices channel on the TuneIn app. If you haven't downloaded that, you should have it on your iPhone or your iPad or whatever, the TuneIn app on the Progressive Voices channel. Especially important to all of our good friends out in Denver, because we're going to be losing you, no thanks to Clear Channel. Made a decision to change the format out in Denver. But you don't have to go away. Just switch over to the TuneIn app on the Progressive Voices channel, and you can continue to follow the show out there in the Denver, Boulder area. And we hope you do and invite you to.
It's
There's a lot of good friends out there. It's a great affiliate, great station, great town, and Clear Channel is making a huge mistake.
Somebody at Clear Channel is clearly smoking the new legalized marijuana.
Or maybe they're not smoking enough of it.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Also want to say you can join us, of course, on Free Speech TV. We're simulcast on Free Speech TV if you got satellite dish. Or you got the video stream, Talker TV, TAWKR TV, youtube.com/Talker TV. So, again, there is no excuse listening or watching. You can follow the show all 3 hours.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're all over the place.
We are. Peter Ogburns all over the place with Elisa Murphy. Hello here.
Hey, good morning.
And by the way, if you ever have any question about
what?
How to get us, how to find things, the best way to do it is just follow us on Twitter at BP Show, right? Because we're always checking Twitter. We're always there. And if you have a question, ask us. We'll respond. So make sure you're following us there. We give you information there, links to how to find the show, links to how to watch the show. So that's a good source.
I have to tell you, I talked to a friend yesterday who happens to be a big Republican. Okay, some of my best friends are Republicans, right?
Yeah. So. Hi, my name is Bill, and I have a problem.
Right. At any rate, and he's a business partner of sorts, and let me just put it that way. At any rate, he started a conversation by saying, before we get into what we need to talk about, I just want to tell you, I think it is so great that you put so much information up on Twitter about who your guests are going to be, what you're talking about, what the issues are all day long. And he said, I follow it, and it's very, very helpful to him.
There you go.
As a conservative. So,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, seriously.
We put a lot of good stuff out there.
We do. So follow us on Twitter at BP Show.
You got it.
Alicia Cruz is here on the phones. Hello, Alicia. And Monty Kanzler is here keeping the video cameras going this morning. Cyprian Bolding. Another day off for Cyprian? I mean,
look, I don't know what.
Is anybody keeping track of his time?
I don't know what sort of deal Cyprian worked out or what kind of thing he's got going. But, we're all starting to worry about him a little bit.
And, boy, we saw him just briefly this morning. He was dressed up, man.
I know.
Yeah, looking pretty sharp.
I just told Cyprian, the only time that I ever dress up like that is when I have to go to court. So I'm not saying anything about Cyprian or what he's got going on, but,
President Obama up in New York State yesterday, keeping the theme of infrastructure alive. Remember, this is National Infrastructure Week, in case you're not celebrating it. It's nothing to celebrate about because our infrastructure is in such bad shape. Secretary of Transportation Anthony Fox joined us at our White House briefing on Monday to underscore that point. And yesterday, the president up in New York City, just outside of New York, in front of the Tappan Zee Bridge, which is falling apart and needs replacing, and they're building a new one. The president said, this is an example of why we better put some more money into the Highway Trust Fund before it's too late.
If they don't act by the end of the summer, federal funding for transportation projects will run out. Will run out. There will be no money. The cupboard will be bare.
Yep, they'll be bouncing checks, as Secretary Fox said. And the president did point out everything's good about this new bridge they're building to replace the Tappan Zee, except they could have come up with a better name for it.
Workers are building a replacement, the first new bridge in New York in 50 years. It's called the New New York Bridge, which is fine as a name, but for your next bridge, you should come up with something a little more fresh.
That's the truth.
Yeah, I wonder how much. I've got to start getting my iced tea ready.
You mixing up a martini or something over there?
Shaking, not stirred.
Your ice clinking around in your shaker.
That's right. Shaken, not stirred. My iced tea, right?
That's right.
I wonder how much money they paid to come up with somebody to name the new bridge.
Right.
The New New York Bridge.
It must have been Coca-Cola.
Yeah. They probably shot all kinds of ideas around until finally.
Right. Did anybody tell them about the new Coke? Right. Okay. Hey, lots going on this morning. Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania, great member of the Senate, will be here in studio with us. Julie Mason from the POTUS channel on Sirius XM will be here as a friend of Bill. And Daniel Stone from National Geographic is back from his latest round-the-world trip. And we understand he's given up food entirely.
I can't wait to talk about
I can't wait to hear about that. All right. And the Clintons are in full campaign mode, but first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Champions know how to win, and that's what happened last night in the National Basketball Association. The Heat came from a large deficit to beat the Nets and close out that series. The Heat are cruising to their third consecutive win. Meanwhile, in the NBA Finals, they still got a ways to go, but they look very, very good. Meanwhile, in the West, the Spurs closed out their series with the Trailblazers. Final score there, 104-82.
Oh, man.
None of those wins have been very close, so they have a little bit of rest time before they go on to face either the Thunder or the Clippers.
And
so there's one more round of playoffs, and then there's the
we
championship.
Get to the finals.
My God, they dragged this thing out. Yeah,
that's right.
And the Montreal Canadiens.
That story is coming up next.
How are
they
story is coming up next. I've got that.
Go.
Hang on. Meanwhile, on the ice in the NHL, to give fair time to hockey fan
thank you.
who was yelling at me yesterday for not giving hockey fan any credit. Last night, the Canadiens from Montreal defeated the Boston Bruins in Game 7. That means the Bruins are out. Canadiens move on. And in L.A., the Los Angeles Kings beat the Ducks of Anaheim to even that series 3 games apiece. So Game 7 coming up for them this weekend.
And our Washington...
Oh, no, they didn't even make the playoffs.
Almost.
The Washington Capitals.
Caps, right.
They didn't make the playoffs. However, tonight... Here in Washington is the Wizards-Pacers.
Big game.
Get ready for it.
3-2 Pacers.
3-2 Pacers, currently a must-win situation.
Yeah, Wizards going to win tonight. Tied.
I hope so. Meanwhile, in Iowa, a man in Buchanan County, Iowa, shot a coyote while he was out hunting. At least he thought it was a coyote. It turns out it was a wolf. A gray wolf appeared in Iowa for the first time in 89 years. It had migrated down from up north.
Yeah, and he shoots it.
Well, to his credit, after he shot, not that I'm making an excuse for the guy. He thought it was a coyote. He realized that it wasn't a coyote.
He shouldn't even have shot a coyote.
He took it into the Department of Natural Resources. He told them what had happened because killing a wolf is against the law.
Yeah.
But they're not going to cite him for it because it sort of came up behind him and he thought that he was.
But it does raise the question: why even shoot the coyote? Coyote wasn't going to kill him.
Well, he did say he felt threatened. So
Yeah, right.
Well, look, coyotes kill people.
They do not. No, they do not kill people.
They're dangerous.
They are not dangerous.
Okay, coyotes aren't dangerous.
No, maybe if you're a baby lamb, right, just born or something, it might be dangerous. Did the coyote have a gun?
Good point.
All right. Therefore,
good point.
You have coyote carrying laws there.
Next time that you're being attacked by a wild animal, ask yourself, do they have a wild gun? Because that's the only way you're in danger.
How many people get attacked by a wild? I'm totally against this guy. They ought to arrest him. 16 minutes after the hour. Yes, indeed. On the political front, still more fallout over Karl Rove's comments about Hillary Clinton suffering brain damage, and the Clintons are fighting back. Question to you today is, are the Clintons maybe making too much of this? 866-55-PRESS. And will Hillary's, or should Hillary's age and health be an issue in 2016? So, you know what happened? Remember, it was May 8th, where Karl Rove was appearing in front of some business group out in Los Angeles in a dog and pony show. I've done so many of those with Pat Buchanan and Bob Novak and Mary Madeline and Newt Gingrich. And this was Karl Rove and Robert Gibbs. And during this conversation on stage, Karl Rove suggested that Hillary Clinton, in that fall at her home, right around the fall of September 12, that she may have suffered, he said, he may have suffered brain damage because, remember, she was in the hospital, he said, for 30 days. It was only 3 days. He said 30 days. And when she left the hospital, she had these glasses on, he said, that only people who have suffered brain damage ever have to wear.
Yeah.
Dr. Rove, right. And then he appeared, remember, the next day when this story broke, somebody finally broke the fact that this is what he had said a few days later, 5 days later. He went on with Bill Hemmer yesterday morning and said, no. I didn't say she had brain damage. I just said she had serious traumatic brain injury. We're still trying to figure out what the difference is between those two. Last night, he goes on Sean Hannity again to try to dig himself out of this hole again. First of all, insisting, that this is an issue, both her age and her health.
And if you're going to turn 69 2 weeks before the 2016 election, and you've had this kind of a serious health incident, and if you get elected, you're going to serve, you might want to for 8 years, you're going to be 77 at the end of it. You wouldn't be human if you didn't say, I had this incident that's going to cause me to think about, do I really want to do this? And so my point was, this incident, more complicated, I think contributes to a more complicated decision whether or not to run.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, she's so old, she's going to have to worry about whether or not she can even handle it, right? And then Karl Rove again says, I never said brain damage.
Now, do I think she has brain damage? No, I think she had a traumatic brain episode. She had a concussion and a blood clot. That's serious. But, they say that she has been, that she's completely recovered.
Yeah, right. But yes, so yesterday, anyhow, the Clintons started firing. It was a full court press yesterday on the part of the Clintons. Bill Clinton here in Washington, appearing at the Peterson Foundation, interviewed by Gwen Ifill. He made a little fun of the whole episode.
Now they say she's really got brain damage.
You think they're just
if she does, then I must be in really tough shape because she's still quicker than I am.
Quicker than I am, the Bill Clinton said. So Bill Clinton was out there yesterday taking Karl Rove on. Hillary Clinton was out there yesterday. She gave a speech here in Washington, D.C., where she insisted she's in great shape and defended her record as Secretary of State. She is appearing at a campaign fundraiser today up in Pennsylvania for actually the mother of her son-in-law, Marjorie. She's got that
Nowitzki.
Yeah, that crazy last name. Who is once was a member of Congress, voted for Bill Clinton's budget, got thrown out of Congress, and wants to get back and is now running for to retake her old seat. The former First Lady, former Secretary of State, former Senator will be there. That's her first fundraiser since she left as Secretary of State. And next month, she takes off on a cross-country book tour for her new book called, appropriately enough, Hard Choices. So Bill is out there, Hillary's out there, and they put her spokesperson out there yesterday to assure everybody that Hillary was 100%, that there was nothing to Karl Rove's suggestions, allegations, accusations. The question is, do you think the Clintons are maybe overplaying this and making too much of what Karl Rove is said, or are they sort of learning from John Kerry that you can't, the old swift boat attack, right? You can't just ignore an attack when it comes early in a campaign or a political season, because if you do, too many people will start to believe it. But so there are two schools here. Others are saying the Clintons ought to just ignore Karl Rove. Others say you can't, you got to take him on. But I'm telling you, it certainly looks like to me that campaign Clinton 2016 is underway.
It's underway.
It looks like it to me.
Yeah.
Don't you think? 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it here. Thursday morning, yeah, we heard what Karl Rove has said, how disgusting that is. We all agree. What should the Clintons do about it? Ignore it or crush him? Take him on. 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You make it sound very easy to take these 90-degree turns in your career. You went from engineering to law. But there's an awful lot of people at that age who feel they're on a track, they've invested time in learning a career, and they need to see it through to the end, or maybe their parents are pushing them to stay in one route. What is your advice for a young person?
Stay away from your parents.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
My mom is a pretty spectacular human being. We essentially came to the United States as refugees. And that is when I really got to understand who my mom was as a person. Being a refugee in a foreign country, you would think that it would affect you so much. It was like my mom, nothing changed for my mom. What was really at her core and her center was always being with her kids and getting to spend time with them and making sure that they were okay and making sure that they could still go out and play soccer. I knew that if my goal was to go to Liberia and to work on economic justice so that, kids could go to school and have access to a doctor if they have malaria, that if I bet on their moms, we win.
I think I just come from a lineage of kick-ass women is all I can say. My grandmother came to this country from Mexico as a single mom with 5 children. And I, have an amazing mother who had 3 children, was going to school, working full time. I mean, almost my story. But she did that and got her bachelor's degree at 40. And so I had a great role model. When I came home and told my mom I was pregnant, her response to me wasn't, your life is over. Her response to me is, well, I want a plan. You need to, let me know what you're going to do about this because you're now responsible for somebody else.
I was the first one in my family to go to college, and my parents were very proud of it. They both had to work. My mom in a factory and my dad in the supermarket, and I was their success story. However, on graduation day, they said, are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be an engineer? You're going to be a businessman? What are you going to, lawyer? I said, I'm going to join the Peace Corps. And they said, what? My parents were very much opposed to this, and it was very difficult.
How much pressure did they put on you?
Tremendous pressure. Up until we were leaving from O'Hare Airport for me to go to Peru, my mother questioning me, like, where is Peru? You've never been out of the country. What do you know? Do they have doctors? Do they speak English there? What are you going to eat? You like my cooking? I said, Mom, I'm going to be a pioneer. Why do you always have to be the pioneer? Let them do it. Let them come back, and then you go. I said, no, I want to be the first to go.
I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, so there was a lot of gang activity. And one of my friends actually was murdered on a basketball court. one 15-year-old child, shot him in the back of the head. And I was just hopeless. And my mom actually, she brought me to a place of empathy for the kids who were involved in actually murdering him. Because my mom sort of said, look, where do you think those kids are coming from? And then she said, so if you're angry about it, do something. Actually change the way this world works.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 27 minutes after the hour here. The Clintons in full campaign mode against Karl Rove. Maybe overplaying it. Headline on CNN this morning, right during the notice during the break. Clintons fight back. And the headline on the front page of the Washington lead story in the Wash Post this morning is Clintons take on critics in the GOP. Peter?
We are on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. We were talking about the man in Iowa who mistook a wolf for a coyote and shot it and killed it. Mark says, never mind the gun, did the coyote have on a hoodie or was he carrying deadly Skittles or an iced tea?
Oh, yeah. Then of course, in Florida, he would have been justified.
Stand your ground.
One other point that Bill Clinton made yesterday is reminding everybody that when Hillary first fell, Republicans at the time claimed that she made it up. She was just trying to come up with an excuse so she didn't have to testify in Congress about Benghazi. And now they're saying she had serious brain damage. Here's Bill Clinton.
First they said she faked her concussion, and now they say she's auditioning for a part on The Walking Dead.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Which is good, yeah. And it does just show how... it shows how desperate they are, I think, Republicans are throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Hillary today. Remember, they even brought Monica back. You can't tell me they didn't pay Monica to write that article. They even brought her back. They're so afraid of running against her, and the Clintons are clearly in full campaign mode. More on Hillary coming up.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I talk to undergraduates and graduate students who are desperate to go out and start something and build something and be the one to come up with that silver bullet solution. And I just want to say, slow down.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
Most of the people you're talking to who want to come into the social change space, are they prepared?
If you're early in your career, there's a couple of really important things to do. The first one is just to shut the hell up and don't talk for about 5 years and work really, really hard. The only way you're going to be given more difficult things to do is by solving the ones you're already given. And if you're somebody who's always complaining or wants to be promoted above where they really are, you can't learn enough to start to take on a greater pool of responsibilities.
Advice you would give a person coming out of college is go work for other people, make your mistakes on their dime.
That sounds like me, absolutely.
It does sound like you.
And you know who that came from is one of my board members, Eric Buttline. Eric had seen me start a few companies as a young kid. I mean, I started my first real company when I was 16. And Eric said, "Chid, do me a favor. I know you have this thing in your head that you think you're this great entrepreneur, but like, go work for somebody for a little while and just learn how things are supposed to be done. And when you're done with that, let's have another conversation about, you know, your next venture."
And I think another thing to remember, and this is something that I've really only learned in the past couple of years, is that although the problems are urgent and so important for us to address, I need to have more patience. I'm not going to solve those problems on my own. You're not going to solve those problems on your own. I'm an apprentice in all of this. I'm an apprentice in life. I'm an apprentice in problem solving. I'm not going to change the world until I'm at least 65. That's my goal at this point.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all our fruits and vegetables come from California. The Golden State is not the only place on the planet struggling for this vital resource. In December 2013, the World Resources Institute found that 37 countries face severe water shortages. Free Speech TV would love to know what you think about this fight for water, especially if you're from the Golden State. Please call our comment line at 1-888-378-8855 or email us at comments@freespeech.org to let us know your thoughts.
Tune in to the Thom Hartmann Program, a live broadcast featuring the nation's #1 progressive talk show host. Phones open at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on Free Speech TV.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Okay, 34 minutes after the hour, here we go with the news of the day here on the Bill Press Show. Moving on to, been talking about the Clintons out in full force yesterday against Karl Rove, shooting down his continued, every day he makes the same comments, whether he calls it brain damage or serious traumatic brain injury, that's what Hillary Clinton suffered. Plus, Karl Rove is saying she's too old to cut the mustard anymore. She should not run for president because she'll be 69 a couple of weeks before the 2016 election. Clearly, Republicans trying to shoot down Hillary and discourage her from running because they are afraid of running against her. In other political news of the day, Harry Reid dropped a bombshell yesterday. The Senate Majority Leader said there is no way, at least at present, unless somebody gives him some more information, no way that he can vote for President Obama's nominee to sit on the federal bench down in Georgia, Michael Boggs. This guy is a very conservative Democrat, to say the least. He is not an Obama kind of Democrat, not my kind of Democrat for sure, but President Obama agreed to nominate him, agreed with Georgia's 2 Republican senators to nominate him as a trade-off, as a quid pro quo for getting them to agree to support some of his other judicial nominees. The problem is that this guy Boggs, as a Democrat, he voted in the Georgia legislature against same-sex marriage. He voted to keep the Confederate insignia on the state flag, and he also voted to post online every single abortion performed by every doctor in Georgia.
What a progressive.
What a progressive. Harry Reid says, no way I can vote for that guy. The opposition to Mr. Boggs has come in the Senate, not from Republicans, but from Democrats. Good for them. They shouldn't just roll over and support anybody. The president. You understand the president may feel he has to make trades like this, but this is the way the senators can say, oh, no, you went too far on this one, Barack.
Yeah.
Too far on this one, Mr. President. On another front, Marco Rubio is still hurting and getting a lot of flack, even from some of his fellow Republicans, and certainly from people in Florida for his insanely stupid comment on Meet the Press last Sunday when he was asked about whether, okay, let's put this in context again, all right? He represents a state that's sinking underwater. He represents a state which is already experiencing daily flooding in South Beach as a result of the rise of sea levels. He represents a state which is already planning to spend billions of dollars with all kinds of dams and dikes and stuff to protect Miami from rising sea levels. And then he is asked whether or not climate change is a serious threat. And this is what he says on Meet the Press.
I don't agree with the notion that some are putting out there, including scientists, that somehow there are actions we can take today that would actually have an impact on what's happening in our climate. Our climate is always changing.
Yeah, that's it. Climate's always changing. Nothing we can do about it. Nothing we should do about it. And that climate is changing, but the human activity, Marco Rubio says, has nothing to do with it. And therefore, we shouldn't do anything. How irresponsible can you get? What? I mean, hello?
Florida has the most to lose here with global warming.
Yes.
Right. We talk about that all the time when we talk about global warming, how South Beach, Miami is going to be...
But it's already...
Yeah, it's already happening. It's already happening. But when we're talking about the sea levels rising by 6, 8, 10 inches, that's Miami. I mean, Miami would be gone.
Well, right. So here, again, in the context, it's just all the more stunning that Rubio would say this. In the context are within the last month, okay, the last day of March is when the United Nations released its report, the Intergovernmental Climate Change Report, whatever it was. These are some 300 Nobel Prize scientists around the world who put together this report saying on a global scale, climate change is already happening and it's everywhere. And they documented all the things from flooding to major storms to wildfires to all of this stuff that's happening around the globe as a result of climate change. Last week, just like 3 or 4 days before Rubio comes up on Meet the Press, the White House released its 3rd annual report on climate change here in the United States, which reported that climate change is real again. It is impacting every single corner of the United States and every segment of the U.S. economy, from agriculture to shipping to you name it, and that it's only going to get worse if we don't do anything. So you had those 2 major studies. Since that time, right, yesterday there was a report released by the Center for Naval Analysis. I never heard of them before, but it's a group of retired admirals and generals who released their report saying that climate change, unless we do something about it quickly, is going to be a major national security issue and it really impact our national security. It already is, but it's going to do so on a global scale even worse. These are generals from a Defense Department point of view, right? They're saying, we're not going to be as secure as we are for all kinds of reasons if climate change continues the way it is now.
You know,
because of flooding and crops and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got NASA yesterday saying that last month was the second warmest April since they've been keeping track of temperatures like for the last century or so, and just happened to be the, ready for this, 350th month in a row that we have experienced above average temperatures. 350 months in a row. Okay. Then NASA, I'm just saying, Marco Rubio,
keep piling on.
Where are you?
Keep piling on him.
NASA also came out this week with a report that said that the Antarctic ice shelf, right, is melting so fast that it is now its melting is now unstoppable. You mentioned a few inches, and that will put 4 feet.
Okay.
4 feet, raise sea levels by 4 feet by the end of the century, which means Miami is gone.
Yeah.
Miami is gone. And Marco Rubio says, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Yeah. Whoa.
You know, a couple of years ago...
I mean, that's an impeachable offense.
It also shows where his mind is, right? He's clearly not thinking about Florida.
What mind?
Well, where his political mind is, right? He's not thinking about his people of Florida. He's not thinking about my state where he takes care of his people, right? He's thinking about on a national level and catering to Republicans. But one of the things that I think of when I hear you talk
about the Republican primary, the Tea Partiers, and he'll say anything to get their support.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But when I hear this and I hear about these generals and these other reports, I'm reminded of Al Gore when he won the Nobel Peace Prize a couple years ago. A lot of people made fun of him for it, but one of the things they said is by bringing attention to climate change, right? When you look at what's going to happen with climate change, you're going to have crop shortage, people fighting over food, fighting over supplies, fighting over land that's available.
Yeah.
And so by bringing awareness to it, you're going to really, it's not just a matter of it's getting hotter outside. You know, it's a matter of you can't grow things. You can't live in areas. Things like that. It kind of in hindsight makes people look a little silly who made fun of it.
Well, I saw yesterday that this Antarctic, when I say 4 feet sea levels rising, that means the United States will lose 28,000 square miles of land along the coast. 28,000 square miles of land will be underwater, which is, I think it's two-thirds of Miami County and Miami-Dade County and two-thirds of Broward County in Florida, which are, they're the wealthiest and the most heavily populated areas of Florida, gone. And do you think Marco Rubio gives a crap? No. I don't believe it.
Not if he picks up some votes.
I don't believe it. Oh, man. All right. When we come back, George Zornick here for The Nation magazine.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go now, 13 minutes before the top of the hour on a Thursday morning, May 15. Good to have you with us today. And taking a look at some of the big political stories of the day with the help of The Nation. Got my This Week's Nation just 2 days ago. A good issue with some good stuff in there by Elizabeth Warren, this issue. And George Zornick is Washington editor for The Nation. Good morning, George.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
All right. Good to have you with us again. So Karl Rove, up to his old tricks, huh? You, as you've been writing, this accusing people of brain damage is not necessarily new for Karl Rove, huh?
Sadly not, no. People may remember back in 2000, there was a pretty pervasive rumor during the Republican presidential primary when George W. Bush was running against John McCain that McCain had been tortured to the point where he was basically mentally unfit for office. And it was a rumor that could never be connected directly to the Bush campaign, but it was sort of just this whisper campaign that was going through a lot of the players in primary states. And it put McCain in an awkward position because it was out there, but no one had actually publicly leveled the charge against him. He couldn't really hold a press conference and say, oh, by the way, I'm not mentally unfit.
So what do you think?
Point being, this is sort of Rove's, I mean, this is his MO is to put these things out into the public record, trying to minimize his fingerprints as much as possible and make them his opponent's problem.
So what do you think, Karl, what is he really up to here? Trying to discredit Hillary or scare her out of the race?
I think he's trying to do the best he can to discredit her early on, to raise doubts in voters' minds about her capability to serve. I think he may not have actually anticipated that it would come back to him because he let this slip at a conference where there wasn't any media, and I think he was just trying to get it out there, circulating without it necessarily being attached to him, because now, of course, it looks bad at him because Republicans are going after Hillary's health and her mental capacity. So I think it backfired a little bit in that sense.
Okay, now, you know, I was just checking here, and Karl Rove yesterday said, well, you know, when she is, in 2016, she would be 69 when she's elected, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I was just checking. I thought so, and it's true. Ronald Reagan was 69 when he was inaugurated, right? So how are they going to answer that? Hey, well, you know, he's their hero, right? We need more Reagans, and so if it's okay for him, why not for her? Because she's a woman?
You know, that is certainly part of it. There's certainly a sexist part of it. Although, you know, if you remember, and I certainly think, you know, if Hillary got in office at 69 and served until she was 77, I think that would be, you know, 2 terms, I think that would be totally fine. Although I'm not sure Reagan is the best rejoinder, because if you remember a few years ago, his son came out and said, for the last couple of years of that, he wasn't totally totally there.
Well, that's one thing. She'd certainly be in better mental shape at the end of it than Ronald Reagan was, for sure. Now, meanwhile, on the political front, the Koch brothers, right? 125 million minimum?
125 million minimum, yeah.
Right, but that's only through Americans for Prosperity that they're planning on spending this year. I mean,
right, and they have such a complicated web of funding. I mean, if you remember well after the 2012 election, Center for Public Integrity put out this crazy map of, it looks like a maze of all the different entities that the Koch brothers were using to push money into the election. So whatever they're saying they're doing is probably less, almost surely less than they're actually doing.
Yeah, in my book, The Obama Hate Machine, about the Koch brothers, I identified, and this was a couple of years ago, 57 different organizations that political organizations they were funding. ALEC is another one, right? And Freedom Works and all of that. And so when they say 125 million, here's the question I always get to George, is, and again, George Zornick, our guest, Washington editor for The Nation, thenation.com. So who is the Democratic equivalent of the Koch brothers? Or is there one?
You know what? The Republicans are starting to really hammer on this guy, Tom Steyer, who's a California billionaire who is committed to spending quite a bit of money on a single issue focus of the environment. He's willing to prop up candidates, Democratic candidates.
On climate change.
Right, climate change, exactly. So I don't think he really quite matches their spending power. Republicans would like us to think that it's sort of even, but there's no doubt he's spending quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I tell you one thing, he's spending nowhere near $125 million. And I keep hearing the name George Soros. I don't know what Soros is spending on politics these days, but not much.
Not a ton, no. I mean, he really hasn't, for as much as you hear Republicans talk about him, I don't think he's been all that active in the past few years. But I would say the difference, though, between Soros and Steyer is that they come out and say exactly why they're spending the money. They say, we want to fight climate change, or we want to do X, Y, Z. The parallel to the Koch brothers doesn't really exist there, because they come out and say they're spending the money for one thing, and the ads say it's for the same thing, but it's, they never come out and say, oh, well, we're protecting our industrial interests.
No, but as Bernie Sanders says, we're getting to the point where we have maybe an oligarchy and not a democracy here anymore in this country. George Zornick, you can't, you're not a real liberal, not a real progressive if you don't subscribe to The Nation magazine, as far as I'm concerned, thenation.com. Hey, George, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Bauhaus was one of the most definitive design movements of the modern age, reaching its peak between the two world wars. The word Bauhaus, loosely translated from German, means house of construction or school of building. Bauhaus was a new type of art school. Historically, European art academies taught each design subject separately. The Bauhaus offered foundation training in many art and design disciplines. They believed in variety. Understanding mass production was part of the curriculum, and the school sought to develop students who could unify art with craft while embracing new technology. It was also the beginning of the art school as an alternative way of life. Germany at that time was a pretty conservative place. And before the Nazis said "Nein" to the Bauhaus, it was arguably the most celebrated art school in the world. Bauhaus thinkers believed the world needed to be fundamentally rethought. Unnecessary ornamentation was out. Minimalism was in. Good design required simplicity and geometric purity. One of the best-known icons of Bauhaus design is the cantilevered chair. Designed by someone named Breuer, it was inspired by the steel tubes of his bicycle, and ultimately led to the first lightweight, mass-produced metal chair. Despite his success, Breuer concluded that eventually chairs would become obsolete, and everyone would soon be sitting on supportive columns of air. Bauhaus was all about innovation and inspiration. Nowadays, Bauhaus influences can be seen everywhere, from road signs and graphic design to big windows and even bigger buildings. In architecture, the international style, as it became known, influenced skylines the world over. Bauhaus was about ideas, reform, exploration and vitality, about making more tidy sense of the rapidly evolving world around us, and giving us more cool stuff for our apartments.
Tune into the Thom Hartmann Program, a live broadcast featuring the nation's #1 progressive talk show host. Phones open at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, nationwide strike today by fast food workers, and we're going to get into that at the top of the next hour here, Peter.
How do Democrats and Republicans use the internet? That is the question that the Washington Post had. So they did a little survey and talked to people who have outed themselves as either a Democrat or a Republican and how they use the internet, and the results are...
They pushed the button, they turned it on.
Pretty interesting. Well, what do they use it for? What do they use it for? Now, they didn't ask about porn habits, right? Because everyone knows that the internet is really just here for porn.
Well, they get that in the mail,
and
too,
the
right?
Democrats use that a lot more for
a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Republicans use the internet a lot for sports, eBay-like auction sites, and automobile sites. That's what they use it for mostly. Meanwhile, dating websites, jobs sites, and music websites skewed Democratic.
I don't believe any of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just say it.
I think Republicans are on the dating websites, and they're on the porn websites as well.
Well, the porn websites were not not asked about. They didn't ask either one about them because, I'm sure that they did.
Yeah, right. So, and you know, people lie. Don't you think on surveys like that?
Of course they do.
Yeah. That's just like, I only buy Playboy so I can read the articles. Right.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, a great big good morning, everybody, on a Thursday, May 15. So good to see you today. And thank you for getting up early to join us here on the Bill Press Show, coming to you live all across this great land of ours on Free Speech TV. Got a satellite dish. You can catch us on the Dish Network or on DirecTV. And on our video stream worldwide, everywhere on this great planet of ours, we are there on Talker TV, TAWKR TV, youtube.com/Talker TV, with lots to talk about today. President Obama in New York City This morning, he will dedicate the September 11 Memorial Museum at Ground Zero with the First Lady. Then he'll be back at the White House about 12:30 this afternoon. And the Clintons are firing back at Karl Rove for his suggestion that Hillary Clinton may have suffered brain damage in that fall at her home a year or so ago. Bill Clinton yesterday took on Karl Rove. Hillary Clinton talked about it in a speech here in Washington, D.C., and her spokesperson said Karl Rove is all wet, that Hillary is 100% in perfect health. It seems like the Clintons are in full campaign mode, doesn't it? Already. And on top of the UN report about the impacts of global impacts of climate change already, on top of the White House report that climate change is impacting every area of this country, yesterday we had a report from the Center for Naval Analysis, retired generals and admirals who warned that unless we do something about it, climate change poses a great threat to national security. What is it going to take before Congress acts and people like Marco Rubio start believing in climate change? All of that to talk about. You can join the conversation, remember, anytime by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Good to have you with us this Thursday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university?
And, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune into Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
They found Casey Kasem. He's not lost after all. They found him on an Indian reservation up in Washington State where he was taken by his wife, Jean. Poor Casey Kasem. He's in bad shape. Hate to see that family bickering over this. It's a time when they all ought to be all together taking care of Casey, not fighting over him. My good friend Casey Kasem, glad he's, at least they know where he is. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? 15th of May, Thursday. This is the Bill Press Show, and we are booming out to you all across this great country of ours on your local progressive talk radio station. God love them. Lucky if you've got one. We're here also on the Progressive Voices channel on the TuneIn app. If you haven't already done so, download the TuneIn app and listen in on the Progressive Voices channel. You'll find us there. And you'll find us on Free Speech TV all across this great land of ours. If you've got a satellite dish, on Direct TV, and worldwide on our video stream at Talker TV, youtube.com/Talker TV. Great to see you this morning. Lots to talk about. We got the whole team here, Peter Ungburn and Lisa Murphy. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, good morning.
With Alicia Cruz there. She is standing by to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. And on the video cam today, Cyprian's got the day off. Monty Kanzler here doing a good job keeping us looking good on Free Speech TV and on our video stream worldwide. Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania will be joining us a little bit later in the program. Julie Mason, here is a friend of Bill in the next hour from the POTUS channel on Sirius XM. And Dan Stone from the National Geographic will be here at the half hour to talk about this new Soylent, it's called, which is a liquid. If you drink that, you never have to eat again in your entire life. Why that appeals to anybody, I don't know. We'll find out from Dan Stone. And today, a massive show of support for fast food workers across the country and around the globe. We'll get into that right here at the top of the hour. But first, here are the big stories of the day.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Another big win for Michael Sam. Oprah is planning on backing Michael Sam by taking part in a documentary series that will follow the life of Michael Sam and will air on the Oprah Winfrey Network, OWN, O-W-N. It's going to follow him along through the training, the practices, and things like that, all the way up to his first game in the NFL. And no word on when that's going to start, but she did say that that is underway.
Right. She'll probably sell a lot more jerseys with that, too,
That's
huh?
Right. Yeah, Michael Sam jersey. Starting today, a new procedure if you need to get in touch with 911. In the past, you just dial 911 and tell them what your emergency is, but starting today, you can text 911 and tell them what your problem is. They're going to have, they're not going to be able to triangulate your position the way that you do on like a phone call. So they're not going to be able to tell where you are, but you can tell them the situation you're in, give them specifics, and then they can try and help you that way.
Interesting to see whether a text would be as, immediate, like help as a phone call.
They're already sort of hedging and saying it's not going to be
as good or the
helpful
same, huh?
as a phone call. But if you're a deaf person or you can't speak,
if you're like in a distress situation, you couldn't use your voice.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. And here's one way to take care of problems. If you were in South Africa, a man noticed a police van swerving side to side. He drove up next to the police van, told it to pull over, told the driver to get out, and it turns out it was a police officer who was drunk.
Oh, no.
The citizen put the man in the back of his car, drove him to the police station, and turned him in under citizen's arrest. This was again in South Africa, but look, hey, take action if you can't get help from the police.
Absolutely. Gotta love it. All right. Thank you, Peter. Yes, indeed. The USA Today has called it the issue that just won't go away. And I'm glad it's not going away. This is the issue of minimum wage, living wage for workers in fast food restaurants today. A nationwide strike in more than 150 cities across the nation and worldwide in 33 different countries spanning 80 different cities. There will be protests in front of fast food restaurants. One of the leaders of the movement here in the United States is a state representative from Wisconsin's 48th Assembly District, Melissa Sargent, who, before she heads out to the picket line this morning, takes time to join us this morning on the program. Hi, Melissa. Good to have you with us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, and good to talk to all of our good friends out in Madison on 92.1, the mic in Madison too. So, Melissa, what's going on today? What is planned in Madison and around the country?
Well, today's a really exciting day. For over a year, we've seen our low-wage workers standing up and demanding higher wages and benefits. They know and we know that this is all about moral compass in our community and that this helps to build economic freedom for our people. No one wants to be on public assistance. No one wants housing assistance, food assistance, child care assistance, health care assistance. But right now, 1 in 2 fast food workers is on this public assistance. This income inequality is not a pretty thing as our fast food industry is making record profits. We need to be testing our moral compass as a society and demanding these higher wages for our workers.
Now, I know what rings with me is the chant, can't survive on $7.25. What is the goal? Is it $10.10 an hour? Is it $15 an hour? Or does it differ in different parts of the country?
Well, we're absolutely asking for $15 an hour. We've seen since this movement has moved, actually in communities across our country, that $15 an hour is actually happening. Now, I know that any increase in the wage is going to be a good thing. And, our president is talking about $10.10. We're not talking about a lot of money. We're talking about $7.25 an hour. People, if they work full-time, and that's 55% of these people are working full-time. They make $15,000 a year. Bringing them up to $10.10 is $21,000 a year. Can you survive on that? Can you raise a family? Most of these people have children. And most of them are the primary wage earners.
Sure. You mentioned it's not just a matter of salary, but also benefits. Do any of the fast food chains today provide health care?
I can't answer that question for you.
Not many of them, for sure, huh?
I don't think that there are some out there. Across this country, there's a few fast food chains that actually pay more than $15 an hour, but they're not big chains. They're smaller family fast food, and it's because they have moral compass. They know that if they're paying their workers, they're going to be more valuable to their customers and actually make them more profit. And if we value our workers, I think that these fast food businesses will see that turnaround in spades for them.
Now, is this a one-day action today?
The start of the year ago, and then we've had multiple actions since then. So it's a process. It's going to continue happening, and it's happening in 150 cities around our country and internationally in over 30 countries as well. And it's an amazing, powerful experience to go stand out there with these workers, and when they come out and cross the picket line and know that the community is there and know that clergy is there and know that their elected officials are there and know that they're doing the right thing for their children and their future. It's a very powerful movement, and I encourage people to step up in their communities and find how they can be involved.
So these workers, though, they're walking off the job for, a morning, an afternoon, the entire day? What's the action planned?
Well, some of the workers are actually walking off their shift.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the workers may have not been scheduled on shift, but are still walking on strike. And it doesn't matter if you're walking on off the job or if you're actually being on strike as someone who works at that restaurant, because the managers and the owners of these restaurants know who has made this decision, and they know that there is a power within the folks that work in their facility, that they are demanding these benefits, they're demanding this fair wage, and they are protected by federal law for the fact that no retribution will happen to them.
Do you know, I don't mean to blindside you here, but I don't know myself. We can check if you don't know. Is there one site where people can go today, all of our viewers and our listeners, to find out, what's happening, if anything's going on in their local city, their local community, where they could join in if they want to today? Is there a one central site, website?
That's a great question, and I'm sorry I don't know. So if someone can.
I'm sorry I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll put it out there before the end of our program. We'll double check that. Yep. But I do want to ask you. So I think this has been, and I'm a proud union member myself, but I think this has been one of the best demonstrations of labor support, particularly for working families and your low-wage workers, that I've ever seen. And it's been going on for about a year now. Very, very effective. My question to you is, have you seen any response? Are there any chains that have said, okay, we get it now, we're going to get our moral compass, and we're going to raise our wages?
Well, we've seen the conversation happening. More and more businesses are saying, oh, well, maybe 1010 wouldn't be so bad if you're asking for 15. And, we're moving the pendulum and the ball down the field. And, that's a benefit for our workers and their families. And if it wasn't for the past year and the brave people that are walking off the picket line and putting their hands in the air and asking for this, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be seeing that conversation happening. So there absolutely has been movement.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have those conversations. We need to get to some action here soon. I'm sure you're continuing to push that. And finally, again, Melissa Sargent is a state representative in Wisconsin, representing the 48th Assembly District, our guest on the show this morning. I haven't heard the word boycott, Melissa. Are you and others asking people to boycott, McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and all the rest, or what do you want, ordinary citizens to do, and how can they show their support?
This is not a boycott. Ultimately, these are jobs that people have, and if a boycott would lead to people getting laid off or fired from their jobs because people weren't buying the services from them anymore, that wouldn't be helping. So we absolutely want people to continue having their jobs. Everyone needs to decide where it is that they spend their money, and how it is they spend their money, and the fact that, where you spend your money and how you spend it absolutely does have an impact on decisions that people make. But this is not a boycott. What this is it's a demand for protections, higher wages and benefits for our low-wage workers so that they can have that freedom and liberty of the American dream.
Well, it's so very, very important. It's a great, great movement on behalf of the fast food workers around the country and around the globe. It's happening today, and no surprise, the ground zero for this, right, is Madison, Wisconsin. The Republic of Madison. Melissa Sargent joining us this morning on our news line. Thanks so much, Melissa. Go out there and have a great day, and we're with you in spirit in Madison.
Forward in solidarity.
Forward in solidarity. I love it. Okay, thanks, Melissa Sargent. Oh yeah, absolutely. Were you surprised that this would be headquartered sort of in Madison? Right. Great town, great people, and a great affiliate out there, 92.1. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You make it sound very easy to take these 90-degree turns in your career. You went from engineering to law. But there's an awful lot of people at that age who feel they're on a track, they've invested time in learning a career, and they need to see it through to the end, or maybe their parents are pushing them to stay in one route. What is your advice for a young person?
Stay away from your parents.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
My mom is a pretty spectacular human being. We essentially came to the United States as refugees. And that is when I really got to understand who my mom was as a person. Being a refugee in a foreign country, you would think that it would affect you so much. It was like my mom, nothing changed for my mom. What was really at her core and her center was always being with her kids and getting to spend time with them and making sure that they were okay and making sure that they could still go out and play soccer. I knew that if my goal was to go to Liberia and to work on economic justice so that, kids could go to school and have access to a doctor if they have malaria, that if I bet on their moms, we win.
I think I just come from a lineage of kick-ass women is all I can say. My grandmother came to this country from Mexico as a single mom with 5 children. And I, have an amazing mother who had 3 children, was going to school, working full-time. I mean, almost my story. But she did that and got her bachelor's degree at 40. And so I had a great role model. When I came home and told my mom I was pregnant, her response to me wasn't, your life is over. Her response to me is, well, I want a plan. You need to, let me know what you're going to do about this because you're now responsible for somebody else.
I was the first one in my family to go to college, and my parents were very proud of it. They both had to work. My mom in a factory and my dad in the supermarket, and I was their success story. However, on graduation day, they said, are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be an engineer? You're going to be a businessman? What are you going to, lawyer? I said, I'm going to join the Peace Corps. And they said, what? My parents were very much opposed to this, and it was very difficult.
How much pressure did they put on you?
Tremendous pressure. Up until we were leaving from O'Hare Airport for me to go to Peru, my mother questioning me, like, where is Peru? You've never been out of the country. What do you know? Do they have doctors? Do they speak English there? What are you going to eat? You like my cooking? I said, Mom, I'm going to be a pioneer. Why do you always have to be the pioneer? Let them do it. Let them come back, and then you go. I said, no, I want to be the first to go.
I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, so there was a lot of gang activity. And one of my friends actually was murdered on a basketball court when a 15-year-old child shot him in the back of the head. And I was just hopeless. And my mom actually, she brought me to a place of empathy for the kids who were involved in actually murdering him. Because my mom sort of said, look, where do you think those kids are coming from? And then she said, so if you're angry about it, do something. Actually change the way this world works.
This is the Bill Press Show.
24 minutes after the hour, Daniel Stone from National Geographic is back driving his strawberries across the country. I hope he brings some strawberries in this morning. We're counting on that.
I forgot to mention
strawberries and Soylent. It's SNS coming up with Daniel Stone.
We had coffee yesterday.
Yeah.
He brought in some straws this morning.
And Soylent.
And some I'm not so sure about it. Let's find out more. Let's find out more about it.
All right, we'll find out more about it in the next segment here of the Bill Press Show. Meanwhile, full court press yesterday on the part of the Clintons. They are responding in full force to Karl Rove's allegations that she suffered brain damage when she may have suffered brain damage when she took that fall at her home. Karl Rove for the second time yesterday on Fox News was with Sean Hannity. Of course, Sean Hannity's going to have him on to try to give him a chance to redeem himself. And Hannity had Karl Rove on last night, where again he says, "Look, here's the point all I'm trying to make is she's too sick and she's too old to run for president. That's all."
And if you're going to turn 69 2 weeks before the 2016 election, and you've had this kind of a serious health incident, and if you get elected, you're going to serve, you might want to for 8 years, you're going to be 77 at the end of it. You wouldn't be human if you didn't say, I had this incident that's going to cause me to think about, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
And so my point was, this incident, more complicated, I think contributes to a more complicated decision whether or not to run.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm not a meanie. All I'm just saying is that her age and her health are going to be a question. Yeah. Right. What he's really trying to do is undercut Hillary, maybe scare her out of the race, or keep people talking about her age and her health. I just want to point out that yes, she will be 69 when she is elected president of the United States. So was Ronald Reagan. 69, same age. It wasn't a problem for Reagan. Became a problem for him.
Yeah.
Tell you one thing, she's a hell of a lot quicker and smarter and sharper than Ronald Reagan ever was. But as I mentioned, Clinton's in full court press against this yesterday. Hillary's spokesperson came out and said, Dr. Rove is wrong. She's 100%. Hillary herself came out yesterday, gave a speech in Washington, D.C., just showing herself in full metal. And Bill Clinton, appearing at the Pete Peterson Foundation yesterday, said, this is funny. Hillary has been very upfront about her medical condition, has never tried to hide it from anybody.
They went to all this trouble to say that she had staged what was a terrible concussion that required 6 months of very serious work to get over. Something she never lowballed with the American people, never tried to pretend didn't happen.
Yeah, and it is true. I mean, they said this is exact what it is. And what's so ironic and disgusting also is that at the time, remember, the Republicans, their meme then was, she's faking it. She didn't really suffer a fall.
She's dodging the Benghazi
She didn't have any concussion. Yeah, she's just trying to get out of testify. She's afraid of Darrell Issa. She doesn't want to have to testify on Benghazi. So, yeah. So 2 years ago, she was faking it. Today, it is serious.
A serious threat.
Brain damage.
Yeah.
And what I love is that Karl Rove insists, no, he never said brain damage. All he said is she had a traumatic brain injury. Now, somebody define the difference. Yeah. This is the same Karl Rove, of course, that accused John McCain back in 2000 of being mentally unfit to run for president. Do we see kind of a recurring theme here? All right, On the Road with Daniel Stone next on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I talk to undergraduates and graduate students who are desperate to go out and start something and build something and be the one to come up with that silver bullet solution. And I just want to say, slow down.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
Most of the people you're talking to who want to come into the social change space, are they prepared?
If you're early in your career, there's a couple of really important things to do. The first one is just to shut the hell up and don't talk for about 5 years and work really, really hard. The only way you're going to be given more difficult things to do is by solving the ones you're already given. And if you're somebody who's always complaining or wants to be promoted above where they really are, you can't learn enough to start to take on a greater pool of responsibilities.
Advice you would give a person coming out of college is go work for other people, make your mistakes on their dime.
That sounds like me, absolutely.
It does sound like you.
And you know who that came from is one of my board members, Eric Buttline. Eric had seen me start a few companies as a young kid. I mean, I started my first real company when I was 16. And Eric said, Chid, do me a favor. I know you have this thing in your head that you think you're this great entrepreneur, but like, go work for somebody for a little while and just learn how things are supposed to be done. And when you're done with that, let's have another conversation about, your next venture.
And I think another thing to remember, and this is something that I've really only learned in the past couple of years, is that although the problems are urgent and so important for us to address, I need to have more patience. I'm not going to solve those problems on my own. You're not going to solve those problems on your own. I'm an apprentice in all of this. I'm an apprentice in life. I'm an apprentice in problem solving. I'm not going to change the world until I'm at least 65. That's my goal at this point.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all our fruits and vegetables come from California. The Golden State is not the only place on the planet struggling for this vital resource. In December 2013, the World Resources Institute found that 37 countries face severe water shortages. Free Speech TV would love to know what you think about this fight for water, especially if you're from the Golden State. Please call our comment line at 1-888-378-8855 or email us at comments@freespeech.org. to let us know your thoughts.
Tune into the Thom Hartmann Program, a live broadcast featuring the nation's #1 progressive talk show host. Phones open at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on Free Speech TV.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 33 minutes after the hour, The Bill Press Show coming to you live all across this great land of ours on your local progressive talk radio station from our studio here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And remember, you can also catch us on the TuneIn app. It's easy enough. I think it's free, Peter, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Free. Download it, TuneIn app, and then go to the Progressive Voices channel, and there we are. Especially important for all of you out in the Denver, Boulder, Colorado area. I hate to tell you, but Clear Channel has made a decision. They're going to change the format there, so all of your progressive friends, starting with me on the daily lineup, not going to be there anymore after this Friday, so we don't want to lose you, and you don't want to lose us. I hope a way to fix it, go to the TuneIn app, of course. Download it, and then the Progressive Voices channel. We're brought to you today by the National Education Association, creating great public schools for every student in America under President Dennis Van Rokel. You bet, the great teachers of America, we salute you. Thank you for your support, and direct all of you to find out more about their great work at NEA.org. Well, I want you to know the next time you are going to a market, a Whole Foods, or a Safeway, or whatever, and buy fresh strawberries, you can thank Daniel Stone from National Geographic, because he personally drove them from Watsonville, California to the East Coast, and he joins us in studio this morning. Trucker Dan.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a hat, I got the whole deal, yeah.
You did, really?
Yeah.
Did you ever take the wheel of that 18-wheeler?
No, they let us ride in the truck cab, which was my first time in one of those. But no, we rented a van, myself and a photographer, and we decided we wanted to see the fruit distribution system in this country, which is the most advanced in the world. The trucks and all the infrastructure that helps bring all of our fresh food to us. And it's quite large. There are about 500,000 trucks carrying food every day on American highways.
Wow.
Well, I told Carol about this, our conversation about this, and she asked the same question that I asked you, which is, so they have to get the strawberries from Watsonville to the East Coast, at least for this distribution. They go to parts of the country as well. Why isn't it just cheaper to fly them here?
No, it's a lot more expensive to fly them because they need to be kept at a very precise temperature. And that's true for most fruits, bananas, avocados, cherries, apples. The shelf life depends on keeping them around 32.5 to 33 degrees for as long as possible. And the only reason bananas start to go bad when you get them into your house is because the temperature goes up to 40 or 50 or even 60 degrees in your house. The temperature is huge in fruit distribution.
Whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute. So to prevent my bananas, because I have a banana every morning, from getting discoloring and everything, what do? You keep them at a lower temp?
Lower temperature, yeah. If you keep
Really?
them in the refrigerator, yeah.
In the refrigerator?
But these bananas that come from Ecuador, if you think about the route they have to go through, they have to be trucked to a port, they have to be shipped through the Panama Canal, which takes time, a long time, up to Miami, trucked all the way up to Washington, D.C., and then trucked to your local grocery store.
And you still can buy a banana for
like 40 cents, yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
That is remarkable.
And they look perfect,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And then you get
No, they
home,
do.
and instantly they just start
they're
turning,
brown.
right?
There's brown spots on them, yeah. But all that, through all that shipping and trucking and all this, they're still kept at that same
Oh, yeah.
temperature.
The term in the industry is called the cold chain, and that's the linkage of trucks and warehouses and boats where the temperature is never increased. The truck is essentially a giant refrigerator, as are these giant barges that go across the canal. They're kept colder than your refrigerator 24 hours a day. Never. And if the chain breaks, if the strawberries rise to 40 degrees, then the grocery store at the end of the line, Whole Foods or Safeway, what have you, will refuse the load. That's not what they paid for.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They can just refuse the load.
Because they can't sell those strawberries if they start to look any day past their prime.
Now, other than the fun...
It is, by the way, when you're shopping
Yes.
for straws, like if you're looking...
Yeah.
One little... pass it over.
Yeah.
Like you can get, if there's a carton of them and you look and like one of them looks to be a little bruised or dented or just imperfect, move on.
Absolutely.
Let's say you got 20 in a carton.
I'm that kind of shopper.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My kids go through buckets of strawberries every week when they're in season. And we shop it for them.
But you, it's okay. But you just said something key, which I wanted to ask next, which is when they're in season. There's no such thing as seasons anymore.
There
is
used to be seasons, especially for strawberries, blueberries, raspberries.
There aren't
but
anymore.
Seasonality doesn't matter because of this system, the linkage. Strawberries are grown in California, Mexico, and Florida on a rotating basis, which is why in most American supermarkets, you could find fresh strawberries year-round.
And it's also a matter, so geography doesn't count anymore either, does it?
Not really. They grow a lot of strawberries in Spain, and we do not get Spanish strawberries in the U.S. But if there's money to be made from fruit and produce, and berries are a very lucrative crop, then someone will find a way in North America to grow them.
But let's go back to bananas. I mean, there are no banana trees in eastern United States, right? Not the northeastern United States.
Nowhere in the U.S. grows bananas.
But I've eaten bananas my entire life because wherever they come from, right? They get them to you. If there's a market, they'll get them to you. And so, it's almost worldwide today, right?
You can find bananas in gas stations, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there is the big locavore movement, which I support and I'm part of, and I think it's great. But at the same time, it almost doesn't matter where these crops are grown. If there's a market, they'll get them to that market.
Right. For all that people talk about local food, and
so what does this mean, Mr. National Geographic?
Well, we wanted to see how big this infrastructure was and how much is involved that you never see. We wanted to meet the people who do the trucking, which was an experience in itself. We wanted to see these truck stops, and we wanted to know when you buy a carton or a clamshell of strawberries at the supermarket, how much time, energy, and gas, or diesel, essentially, it took to get those to you. And it is shocking. Our story came out yesterday.
I was just going to say, you can find the story at nationalgeographic.com.
Correct, exactly.
And it's, what's the headline, or what's it? Peter,
so our headline is Strawberry Road Trip.
Strawberry Road Trip,
It's at onward.nationalgeographic.com.
Great band in the 60s, by the way. Strawberry Road Trip. Yeah, their stuff with Jefferson Airplane was really phenomenal.
Now, a couple little factoids that I learned from you. First of all, these truck drivers spend a lot of time on the road. How many trips do they make coast to coast?
For a perishable crop like strawberries, a team of truck drivers takes the load, so they don't have to stop. They can drive and sleep for 10 hours and 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours. They could cross the country and come back in 1 week. So about 2.5 days it takes to drive cross country. They pick up a load, drive back.
Turn right around and come back.
Yeah.
And they do it how many times a month? Or
So this is eight times crossing the country every month.
Whoa, 8. So 4 trips, round trips.
4 round trips, yeah.
Wow.
And these guys, I mean, we obviously didn't meet every trucker, but I mean, these are just content people. They do the work of America. Everything moves in trucks, and they move it, and they just shuttle back and forth just so we can have pretty much everything we eat.
You said 500,000 trucks are on the road?
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think that number was bigger, or why I thought it was smaller, but that's a big number.
It is. Now, let me ask you. So, when these trucks pull up to a diesel stop, right, and they fill up, right? Now, when I'm filling up my little car there, and it gets up to $60, I almost have a heart attack, right? Okay, what's the cost to fill up one of these trucks?
A 18-wheeler semi can hold about 270 gallons of diesel, so it costs about $800 to $900 to fill up.
Whoa!
One time, and they have to fill up 3 to 4 times to get across the country.
They pay
Holy cow!
They pay cash?
Holy cow! Really? I don't know why I didn't think, but that's whoa.
Yeah. All right.
A load of almost anything to get across the country costs about $7,000 when you pay the driver, you pay for the truck loan, you pay for the diesel. So the load we were carrying, this was going to blow your mind too, of just strawberries, was about $200,000 to $300,000 worth of strawberries just in the truck right behind us.
Good grief.
Yeah. So next time you see one of those big 18-wheelers, rushing by, you appreciate it. Appreciate what's behind it. Yes, indeed.
How many stores would that go to? I mean, if you one truck, right? Like, how many people does that hit?
Probably about 4 or 5 different stores.
Okay.
If Whole Foods makes an order, they get it to their distribution center, and then they fan out to all their stores. But keep in mind, Whole Foods gets strawberry shipments every day. So do most major markets. They need to keep their shelves stocked.
Yeah. All right. But, this doesn't matter to me because I'm never going to eat again. I'm going to go to Soylent as my meal replacement. That's the latest. That's the trend. Daniel Stone will tell us all about it from National Geographic, nationalgeographic.com. What's it for the article again? Onward?
Onward.nationalgeographic.com.
All right. And we'll be right back with Daniel Stone.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on Talker TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour, Daniel Stone here from National Geographic, just back from his big road trip, and you can eat strawberries if you want, or you can just drink Soylent as if you want to. But before we get into Soylent, Beverly from St. David, Illinois, has a quick question for you, Dan. Hi, Beverly.
Hi, Bill. How you doing?
All right, great. What's up?
My late husband was a truck driver for 44 years.
All right.
All I want to say is to thank Mr. Stone for showing some respect for the truck driver. 10 million miles, no accidents, and he used to do those fresh fruit runs all the time. He'd go from California to Illinois in 2 days.
Whoa.
Beverly, that's remarkable. And we saw some people who did the same job your husband did, and it's quite amazing. So on behalf of all of us who don't often see that process at work, thank you to you and your husband.
And those of us who benefit from their good work at the other end, right? Buying these things, we should think about the people who brought them to us. Yeah.
I wish he was still alive to hear that.
Okay, so do we, Beverly.
No joke.
Thanks,
I have
Beverly.
a
Thank you.
whole new respect for truck drivers. Because, I mean,
right. Yeah.
They seem as a nuisance on the road sometimes, but I won't anymore, man.
No, the work that they do. And, it's not the safest work either, right? Because there are other nuts on the road that they've got to be watching for. So, all right, so thanks to you, I read this New Yorker article about Soylent, which is this commercial product, right? Soylent, which is a liquid that has all the nutrients in it that you need to survive, so that you never actually have to eat food again. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
So
who would want to do that?
The New Yorker covered this.
And does it really work?
I found it fascinating. They call it a meal replacement. And they're saying, people love food.
Already sounds delicious.
We all love to eat, and we all love the social atmosphere around, dining together.
Right.
But there are a lot of times, and we've all had this, where meals are not very glamorous. The times when you're cooking dinner alone, or when you forget to eat lunch, or you're getting a headache at 10 a.m. because you didn't eat breakfast. That you just, you need some sort of nutrients, and it's just, you're in the middle of something and it's a pain. So they developed essentially this potion of nutrients. They ordered, all the carbohydrates and the protein powder, all the major vitamins you'd need, put it together. They blended it. And according to this piece, I haven't tried it yet, nor have you, I imagine.
I'm never going to try it.
Apparently it's not bad. It's...
BS. Right. All right. Right. No, I did read that. People say it tastes sometimes like eating like cookie dough or drinking cookie dough.
I like cookie dough. I do like cookie dough. Why not just eat cookie dough then?
But apparently, from this article, which you've read and I've read, it does work. I mean, people have lived on nothing but Soylent for like a year, and they're healthy. They've gained weight. They're healthy. I don't know, but they look healthy. They've gained weight. I mean, they're probably
really annoying people. I mean,
but it's possible, right?
It is possible. Now, one thing this article did not quote, and I'm curious if any of your listeners are nutrition experts and could weigh in on whether this is in fact something nutritionally that is as sound as these entrepreneurs who developed it say it is. No one knows. But the developer, he's been drinking it for a year and a half. He said his teeth are whiter, his skin is clearer, his hair is thicker. So that's a personal testimony that I suppose you'd find in an infomercial late at night at some point.
Right. But this product, you go online and buy this product, and also you can go online and make your own, right? This is unlike Coca-Cola, they put their formula up online. And so you could make your own at home, or you could experiment with it and add, if you like blueberries, right? You could throw some blueberries in, or kale, or kind of whatever.
Or steak,
which is which again is a whole new concept, right?
So I mean, they're hoping that people will experiment and realize that the machine-made stuff is probably better. So I told you right before we went on the air, I ordered a small case of this stuff. I'm just so curious, and maybe I'll drink the whole thing. Maybe I'll bring it in here one morning, and we could all try it. But it seems compelling that
Bill's face.
You nerd.
I would try it. I could never fathom just giving up food and having.
Yeah, it seems really sad.
It does. It seems really sad.
So when I think of who would do this, I think of computer geeks, right? These people that work in like Silicon Valley or whatever, and they're in front of their computers all the time, and they're online all the time, and they're on FaceTime, and they're blogging and all this. And God, I just can't take time to have a meal. I just sit at my computer, and so they just have this jug there, right? And they're swigging this jug all day long. I mean, seriously, what kind of life is that, and what kind of people are this?
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it may be a pain in the ass to have to stop and have lunch. But I like it, right?
Absolutely.
Or to stop, take some time out to have dinner with a friend, with your wife, or just go out and have dinner, or at home, or something.
Cooking is fun. Eating with friends is fun.
There's a line in this New Yorker article that really stuck with me that said, "Soylent is not coming for your Sunday potlucks and all your social gatherings. Soylent is coming for your frozen quesadillas that you eat over the sink because you ran out of time or you have nothing else in your house." That's the market that they're trying to go for, and most people have been there at some point. So they're saying if this replaces 2-3 meals a week, maybe that's enough for you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend once who told me, like, he never bothered, he would just open like a can of stuff, and he never bothered to heat it up because why bother to heat it up? So he would just, there are people like that, maybe they're the Soylent crowd.
That's it.
Didn't you ever go to college? Didn't you live in a dorm? And, I'm sure that's the market that would pick up.
Yeah. I mean, look, ramen is easy to make and super cheap, but at least it's cooking. I mean, you have to at least boil water to make ramen.
But noodles in a cup? Or
Yeah.
You feel terrible after that.
Oh, no, you feel horrible. You feel horrible. I could see this catching on as something like that.
All right, I'll tell you what.
Nothing else.
Daniel Stone, it's great to have you here today. Thank you, and I'm glad you had a very safe and successful trip. You can come back anytime with strawberries. Just don't come back with any Soylent, okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right.
I'll try it. You should try it.
No! NationalGeographic.com. We'll come back and tell you what the president's up to today, and I'll bet he's not having any Soylent.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, 2 hours not enough for you? Well, I understand. That's why we have a third hour coming up. Too bad those of you watching on Free Speech TV are going to lose us, but we're on Talker TV in the third hour, so just jump over to our video stream, youtube.com/TalkerTV. to catch Senator Robert Casey. Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania will be here in studio with us. And another real pro and a great friend, Julie Mason from the POTUS channel on Sirius XM will be here as a friend of Bill the entire hour. And all of you friends of Bill are invited to stay tuned.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new. If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much. I would get more hamsters. I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years.
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
This is the Bill Press Show.
Two great guests in our next hour. Julie Mason here is a friend of Bill from the POTUS channel on Sirius XM. And then Senator Bob Casey from the state of Pennsylvania will be here in the studio with us. President Obama is in New York this morning. About 10 o'clock this morning, he will be at the dedicating the National September 11 Memorial End Museum at Ground Zero. Boy, from what I've seen the video of it, a very, very powerful display of all kinds of artifacts and memories of September 11, 2001. And then the president heading back to Washington, D.C., arriving back at the White House, actually, right after noon. There is no briefing today. Jay Carney will be gaggling on Air Force One. Back with Julie Mason.
This is the Bill Press Show.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all our fruits and vegetables come from California. The Golden State is not the only place on the planet struggling for this vital resource. In December 2013, the World Resources Institute found that 37 countries face severe water shortages. Free Speech TV would love to know what you think about this fight for water, especially if you're from the Golden State. Please call our comment line at 1-888-378-8855 or email us at comments@freespeech.org to let us know your thoughts.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I'm a Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts, and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. Not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself blood pressure or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for. I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough. They adapt. But only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not going to let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or whatever. We're going to fight to the bitter end. Detroit going to survive.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Good news, they found Casey Kasem. Now CNN says, you see, they might still find that missing plane. They could find Casey, they can find that plane. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday morning, May 15. This is the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, the most powerful city on the planet. And we're here to keep you up to date on what's going on here in Washington, around the country, and around the globe. We'll tell you what's going on. That's our job. Your job is to tell us what you think about it. And you can do so by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS, or send us your comments on Twitter at the BP Show, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And we are double teaming you this morning. Yes, we need a little extra talent here to cover all the news of the day. So we brought in another great, one of your favorite radio talk show hosts from the POTUS channel on Sirius XM, Julie Mason. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Bill.
The winner of the Gracie Award for Talk Radio. Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm really excited.
Yeah, you're the new Gracie Allen.
Everybody says so, Bill.
But I want you to know, just in the last half hour, our guest Daniel Stone, did you see him on the way out?
Yeah, I did.
From
He's a good friend.
National Geographic, who just came back from this road trip for National Geographic, where he followed the strawberry truck from coast to coast, all the way from Watsonville, California, to somewhere in Massachusetts, no, in Maryland, just up the road here, where they unload all the strawberries. At any rate, Dan told me that one of the things that kept him going on that long drive across the country was listening to Sirius XM and listening to Julie Mason on the POTUS channel.
Nice. Fancy that, Bill.
How about that?
People listen.
No, but isn't that great?
That's really nice.
You brought him home.
It's really nice. Yeah, come on, Dan.
Yeah.
You never lose the signal.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So just want you to know you got a lot of fans. We know you got a lot of fans out there. And you join our team this morning, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy. Hello, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Alicia Cruz there, standing by to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS, and on the worldwide video stream, Talker TV, youtube.com/Talker TV, TAWKR TV. Monty Kensler has the lights and the cameras working this morning and keeping us looking good. So, former President Clinton, spoke yesterday at the Pete Peterson Foundation here in Washington, Julie, and made a lot of news because he had some comments about Karl Rove, which maybe we can get to a little bit later. But another speaker there was Chris Christie yesterday. And Gwen Eiffel was doing the interviewing, and she asked Chris Christie whether or not he thinks his political career might be hurt because of the whole Bridgegate scandal. Chris Christie?
As far as the impact on my political future, I think it will have none, because I didn't do anything.
Yeah, here's hoping, Governor.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true at all.
As Al Gore used to say, denial is not just a river in Egypt. Right? I mean, he didn't do anything. It's not going to impact his political. It already has.
He's already nosedived. You know what's interesting, Bill? When you think about Chris Christie, a few months ago, he was here in town for the Republican Governors Association, avoiding the press, irascible, in a horrible mood, running around.
This was right after
under the gun.
scandal.
Right, it was right after it, right? And he was just in a foul mood. And now he's back. He's feeling it again. He thinks he's been cleansed by fire, and now he can just be himself. But I think that is a lot of wishful thinking.
Well, the fact is, the people that were supporting him and saying he's the clear front runner and he's the guy we need because he's not Tea Party and he's not that, they're all moving on because they see him as damaged goods, right?
Yeah.
And I like Chris Christie. I mean, he's got a certain, I don't agree with all of his policies, obviously, but he's got a certain style which I think is refreshing.
He's a character.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
I like characters. And now people are talking about, well, maybe we better talk to Jeb Bush because this Christie guy.
Beg Jeb Bush.
There's another story. Are we ready for a third Bush? I don't know. We will get into all of these issues with Julie and with your calls. And then Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania joining us at the half hour. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of stories making news. Con Op 8888. You've probably never heard of that, but it is a recently declassified document that shows that the Pentagon was prepared for a zombie apocalypse.
That's reassuring.
Right?
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
This just came out last night. They started this back in 2010.
Are they prepared for Godzilla?
I don't think they're ready for Godzilla. No, I don't think they're ready for Godzilla. But they have a whole plan in place for if zombies do rise up and people do turn into zombies, what do you do? How do you manage? So they have whole tips on retaining rainwater, hiding weapons. They did drills in 2011 with troops facing possible zombies.
You mean like this is that recent?
Yes,
50 years
very recent. Very
That's
recent.
Pretty scary. Our tax dollars are going through this kind of research.
Be ready for anything.
Yeah.
The Standard Hotel is the site of where the Jay-Z Solange fight took place in the elevator. Where she attacked Jay-Z.
Really? Stop.
Okay.
Security cameras in elevators? I thought when you got in an elevator, at least you could have
sorry,
a little
Bill.
privacy.
No. Oh, wait. Really? Really, Bill?
Yeah.
Wow. No.
Think again next time you're in an elevator. Okay, buddy? Think again.
Just saying.
Well, it took place in the Standard Hotel, and the tape was leaked out to TMZ. Yeah. The employee who leaked it was found and fired by the hotel, but that probably doesn't matter. Reports say that TMZ paid $250,000
Ka-ching.
for that video. So
but you know what he did was he took a video of the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a video of, and there's another one. There was another one recently that was the same thing. They say this is the way that security cameras, forget them, right? Yeah. Anything can get out there because if an employee is in a room where they're watching the video, right? Doesn't have to have the video, just take out a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah. And that'll get you 250 GER, apparently. And from the NBA, the Golden State Warriors needed a new coach after they got rid of Mark Jackson, so they hired Steve Kerr, former basketball player who has zero coaching experience. They made the announcement official yesterday. They signed him up to a 5-year, $25 million deal.
Whoa.
And we will see how well they do.
With zero experience, you got $25 million?
Not bad.
Sure, I should have applied.
Right?
Payday.
Yeah.
Indeed. So there's one of the big story of the day, one of the big breaking stories of today, is the fact that the New York Times suddenly yesterday fired Jill Abramson, their
what a story.
managing editor. Yeah, and it's still developing. We don't know all the facts, but the Times says she was fired because there were so many complaints from staff that she's such a bad manager, bum, bum, bum. Ken Auletta from the New Yorker is reporting that she was fired because she discovered she was making less money than her predecessor, Bill Keller, was making. And she raised the issue with...
Aggressively raised the issue.
As
a man would.
As she should have. And that she was fired because of that. So we may not know the whole story here, but this looks like it could be really bad news.
Yeah, you know what really strikes me about this story, Bill, and I know you're going to agree with me about this, is that how many times have we covered these sort of politicized corporate meltdowns? And yet when it's us in the news media, we still don't know how to do it. You know, all these conflicting stories and everything off the record, and it's all kind of oblique and shady, and there's elements of sexism, and it's terrible for the New York Times.
Well,
Awful.
Think Progress this morning, and our good friend Igor Volsky has a piece up that if the New York Times fired her because she raised the issue of not getting equal pay for equal work, that's a federal offense, a criminal offense.
Wow. Oh, Mr. Sulzberger. Well, there's a spot of bother.
Yeah, right. But it does. I mean, you would think that the nation, I have to say, some people will disagree with it, but I think clearly, hands down, the nation's best newspaper. I mean, that they would do something like this, it's shocking.
It's a business. No? I always remind people we are not the church of truth.
True.
We are. It is a business, the news business, and it's full of business people making business decisions.
The New York Times would pay women the same as men and the same benefits and the same salary.
I know, it's
and
like not, at two New York Times.
Yeah, and not try to get away with doing it and then thinking they could hide it. And
talk to your lady friends, Bill. They're all going to say, "Oh yeah, big surprise."
But I mean, seriously,
if they can get away with it, they will do it.
Oh. If this is really what happened, if Jill Abramson really did discover that and went there and raised holy hell, I say good for her.
I think we're going to hear from her soon.
Well, why would she keep silent?
Well,
right?
Who knows what kind of payout they gave her, and then you usually have to sign something saying you won't talk. But I bet she wouldn't sign something.
She didn't show up for the announcement. She didn't make it look like she was spending more time with her family. They didn't hide the fact that she was being shown out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she wants people to know that she ain't happy about this.
But then, our good friend Dylan Byers at Politico is reporting that she was fired because she hired a new deputy editor without consulting her other deputy editor. And
is that a firing offense for someone at that level?
What I'm saying is it's a little still a little fuzzy, but this really troubles me.
We're going to have to wait for the Bob Woodward book.
By the way, Ken Oletta is a damn good reporter.
Top notch, and he knows everyone he's reporting about in this story. So
yeah.
I think that the way that the story is being talked about, I don't think that you hear a lot about males in charge who get talked about. Oh, they talk to us in a condescending manner. Or he was very pushy and bossy and abrasive. They're savvy. Or they're a little hard to work with.
It's considered a plus for a man.
Yeah, definitely.
It's considered, How dare you for a woman?
It's been suggested that I'm a little abrasive, Bill. And
you?
That hasn't helped. I know. A little flower like me, Bill. Can you believe that? And it has never served me well.
Yes, Gracie. Well, he is still at it. He is still doubling down. Karl Rove and his comments on Hillary Clinton. He insists he did not say that she had brain damage. He just said that she had a serious traumatic brain injury. What's the difference?
That is splitting hairs. But he said that she was wearing glasses that people wear when they after traumatic brain injury, and someone needs to look into that.
Yeah, right. Okay. So then yesterday, the Fox keeps trying to help rehabilitate, give him a chance to rehabilitate himself, I guess. So he's on with Bill Hemmer yesterday morning. Last night, of course, he's on with Sean Hannity. He'll give anybody a chance.
Of course, that's where you go to rehabilitate yourself.
Hannity. George Zimmerman, Cliven Bundy, Donald Sterling. I'm surprised he didn't show up.
It's like the Silkwood shower of news. Just go on Hannity. He'll clean you right up.
So here, Rove last night. Now his explanation is, I'm just trying to say this is how American politics works. Karl Rove.
And if you're going to turn 69 2 weeks before the 2016 election, and you've had this kind of a serious health incident, and if you get elected, you're going to serve, you might want to for 8 years, you're going to be 77 at the end of it. You wouldn't be human if you didn't say, I had this incident that's going to cause me to think about, do I really want to do this? And so my point was, this incident, more complicated, I think contributes to a more complicated decision whether or not to run.
Yeah, you see, so it's just,
He's a genius, Bill. He's dragged this story out. We're now in, day 3 of this story, or day 2? Mm-hmm. He keeps pushing the story forward and pushing the story forward, planting that seed. This is all his plan. Nicole Wallace was absolutely right when she talked about this. She used to work for him back in the White House. She said, this is what he does. He's putting the idea out there. Of course, he got a few of the facts wrong when he said she was in the hospital for 30 days.
It was only 3.
Still, but he put the story out there, and then he keeps, as you say, doubling down on it. This was his intent all along. It's working.
By the way, so Hillary will be 69 if she runs, mm-hmm. and if she wins, 69 when she's inaugurated. So was Ronald Reagan.
Exactly. And
this is sort of like the Jill Abramson thing. It was okay for the guy to be 69, but for the woman to be 69,
Actually,
no.
Reagan had to answer a lot of questions about it. So did John McCain. Believe me, I see sexism everywhere. I see it in this room right now. I'm feeling it. But I'm kidding. Bill Press. I know. Peter. I'm just kidding. No. I call it when I see it, but
turn her mic off.
You remember John McCain having to answer? Remember?
No, absolutely.
Old dude. And
by the way, John McCain in 2000 had to answer a lot of that also against George Bush. Rumors planted by Karl Rove. About the fact that he was a prisoner of war for so long, he was mentally unbalanced.
Boom.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think men have to answer. I mean, for women, it's a particularly sensitive subject, especially it was that editor from the Washington Times who went on TV and was suggesting that women have an expiration date, and Hillary Clinton had passed hers. Yeah, it's like, no one would ever say that about a man. You can say they're too old, but not that there's like a use-by date. So it's a sensitive topic for women.
Yeah, but I think Karl Rove has succeeded. He can
Success.
He doesn't care if people attack him, right? He's done what... right.
That's winning. Hashtag winning.
Yeah, he just wants to discredit and undermine Hillary.
Keep that conversation going. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Exactly. Julie Mason here from POTUS Channel Sirius XM. Your calls, your questions, always welcome at 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
This is the Bill Press Show.
20. Are we live? Is this live radio and TV?
What?
20.
Hey, we have an award-winning broadcaster in the
I'm
studio
sorry.
with us today.
Let's try to maintain some standards, Bill.
That is certainly not
It's
me.
not you.
26 minutes after the hour. Julie Mason is with us from the POTUS channel. I'll catch her, of course, on Sirius XM, 3 to 6 p.m. East Coast time. You figure it out where you live. Julie, in terms of public relations, have you ever seen a bigger walking public relations disaster than Donald Sterling?
Oh, my God. What a mess, right?
I mean, yeah. And the old, I remember Bill Clinton saying, I'll tell you one thing I learned, right? When you're in a hole, the first lesson is stop digging. Donald Sterling.
Here's the thing,
Never
though, Bill.
learned that.
Here's the thing. Not to play devil's advocate with you, but
What,
in America,
you're
we're
gonna
allowed to
defend
be.
him?
No. We're
No.
allowed to be jerks, right? And people are jerks all the time. People are
Yeah, I
jerks
know.
all over the place. Does that mean your property is forcibly taken from you? I've said stupid things. Are they going to come take my dog?
Well, there are rules. I've raised that same question, by the way, on the show, that for the government, or not the government, but for anybody to be able to take throw you out, right? That you can't be the CEO of Walmart. Or you can't be. But there are rules, apparently, for the NBA that the owners have all adopted and pledged to live by. Right?
Yeah,
Peter, you're
yeah,
Mr.
no, that
you're
is the
Mr.
case.
Sports.
And I do think that there's the bigger issue is when a large majority of your staff is African American, and you're out there saying, "Oh, look, I feed them, I clothe them, I put them in big houses, but I don't want them anywhere close to my game."
But still, I think with Julie's point, on any other business, probably, if you had a line of plumbing stores or insurance companies or whatever, you could say that, and nobody could say you no longer have the right to be the
You have forfeited
CEO,
the right to own
right?
what you own.
But in the NBA, those are the rules, and they agree to the rules when they buy
Good.
the team.
Just take it all away.
Take it all away. I love the fact that Adam Silver stood up as quickly as he did and as strongly as he did. But they're delaying this vote. They had to have this vote and get it over with.
Right,
don't you
because when he
think?
came out so quickly, that was just crisis management 101. That was good.
Perfect. Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania in studio with me and Julie Mason for the next half hour. And, of course, your calls are always welcome.
This
we'll be right back.
is the Bill Press Show.
I commute.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot. I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys.
and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go at 33 minutes after the hour. Good to see you again this morning and have you with us on The Bill Press Show, coming to you live from our nation's capital. Brought to you today by AFSCME, the good men and women of AFSCME, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the entire country under President Lee Saunders. Doing great work at the state, the city, the county level, all across the country. Making America Happen. You can find out more about their good work at their website, afscme.org, afscme.org. Joining us in studio, another great public servant from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Senator Bob Casey. Senator, good to see you.
Bill, good to be with you.
I'm glad the Senate is working this week. I mean, we're getting something for our tax dollars, right? And, of course, still with us as a friend of Bill this entire hour, host of the Julie Mason Show on the POTUS channel, of Press Pool, I'm sorry.
You can rebrand it right here. Let's just call it the Julie Mason Show.
Or the Press Pool with Julie Mason on the POTUS channel, Sirius XM. Hey, Julie.
Hey, Bill.
Have you with us. So the
Julie,
Senate.
good to be with you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, you stayed here this week, Senator. So what has the Senate accomplished this week?
Well, we're working right now on the a tax bill. It's a 2-year extension of a lot of tax provisions, which is a measure that came out of our committee, the Finance Committee, unanimously. So we're not there yet. It's not done yet, but we're working on that. It's unfortunate that
getting rid of any of those tax loopholes.
It's not there. It's not quite there, but it does have a number of measures that help on research and development to have that tax credit in place. A lot of small business tax credit, so it's got good support on both sides. Getting that done is essential, I think, for the economy. Unfortunately, the week started off on a bad note when the energy bill went down, and I hope we can get back to that because energy efficiency is a great way to get savings, but also to get savings in a way that's consistent with our environmental concerns.
Well, that's a strange story because it was Jeanne Shaheen from New Hampshire and the Republican
Rob Portman,
right. So it's a bipartisan bill coming together, you would think, on something which should not be a partisan issue. It's energy efficiency, saving money, creating jobs and everything. And with that kind of bipartisan support, what happened to it? Why couldn't the Senate pass that?
Well, look, there's a big debate about how we got to where we are, but our side for weeks now has been saying to Republicans, okay, you guys want a series of amendments, let's talk about it. And Harry Reid and our leadership, including Jeanne Shaheen as the leader of the bill, agreed to have a series of votes on different amendments. And the Republicans kept moving the goalposts, saying, well, okay, we want this vote. Well, no, we changed our mind. We want that vote. And it reached a point where we just couldn't get an agreement to move forward. I don't think that means it's the end of the conversation. This is our second attempt in about a year, a little less than a year maybe, to get this bill done. But it's unfortunate. I think it's symptomatic of some of the other problems here in Washington.
Was Keystone one of the amendments that the Republicans wanted to Keystone Pipeline?
They started out as a sense of the Senate on that, and then they moved to wanting to have a substantive vote. But it became, I think it just became, and they're going to, we hope that they won't try to amendment away the next measure, which is the tax bill, because a lot of their members will criticize Harry Reid about the process, all the while hoping that we can get it done. So some of them get to have their cake and eat it too. They get to criticize, but then in the end get to benefit from the passage of the legislation.
Minimum wage is one issue in which the Senate did finally get together, right? Not that we've seen any action.
In terms of a vote, yeah.
In terms of a vote.
Right.
No action in the House on that issue. Do you think we're going to? I mean, I don't understand the opposition. Today is the latest protest on behalf of fast food workers around the country. 150 different cities today. Fast food workers going to be out and their supporters in front of these establishments and saying you can't survive on $7.25. Who could? Right, an hour. But I don't understand the opposition. Even who is it? Julie Mitt Romney. And Rick Santorum came out and said, "Come on, what are you doing? So let's, as Republicans, let's support the raising the minimum wage."
Well, it's the right thing to do to support a raise in the minimum wage, and I'm glad that on their side there are some voices that are saying they support it. I'm really skeptical, though, that saying you support the minimum wage sounds good, but if you come out and say, "Well, let's raise it from $7.25 to some low number above that," that's easy. So you get the benefit of public approval by saying I'm for it. So that's what I'm afraid. And I hope if Governor Romney or Rick Santorum, someone I ran against in 2006, and this issue was a big issue in our 2006 campaign, by the way. He had voted.
Where was he then?
Oh, he had voted against it a number of times. I think he might have. I think he had a kind of, as I recall, kind of a mixed record. Voted sometimes for it, sometimes against it. But it was a big issue, and I was pushing it very hard. But look, if they're for it, that's great. But if they're going to be with us and with the people that should benefit from this. By the way, about 15 million women in the workforce, almost between 14 and 15 million children. So it's really about women in the workforce and kids mostly, in terms of who would directly benefit. But if they're with us, they'll be for $10.10 an hour. In 95% increases over 3 years. And look, even if we got to $10.10 3 years from now, right now the inflation if we had started in, say, 1968 and it kept up with inflation, it'd be more than $10.50 an hour.
Oh, yeah. Right. It'd be a lot higher.
Right.
It's just insane.
Senator Patty Murray said yesterday that a lot of what the Senate needs to do this year is getting pushed off to the lame duck. What's coming up after the election?
Well, I think there's some of that, and it's natural. For example, I would hope we could move forward on tax reform. I think it's needed, it's essential to simplify the code and make it fairer and do a lot of things that would help.
Can you do that in 2 months, though?
No. but we have to keep momentum going so that when you have a window of opportunity, you don't have to kind of ramp up quickly. Kind of keep the engine running so that you can move quickly. But that's one of those big issues that'll probably have to wait until the period. I tend to think of it as not just lame duck or post-election, but some of these issues we hope, if the window is even larger than just the end of 14, maybe into 15. But I think that's true. There's a natural reluctance, and I think a natural reluctance on the part of some to wait till after the election. I do think some Republicans are feeling confident, so they figure they can kind of wait things out until after the election.
Yeah.
Well, things kind of look like they're going their way, though.
Well, although I think if you look at these Senate races race by race instead of looking at the broader picture, if you just looked at the 6 year of a president and their track record, and then you looked at the right direction, wrong track number, or things like that, or people's feelings about the economy, you think, wow, we're in pretty tough shape. But when you look at, in the Senate at least, race by race or state by state, it looks a lot better. I mean, states where we should be way down, we're either tied or a little ahead, and in some cases more than a few points ahead. So it's gonna be a tough year, but I think we have a good chance to retain the Senate.
It's interesting that a couple of days ago, Jennifer Duffy was our guest from the Cook Political Report. I'm sure she's been on your show many times too. And we went through the Senate races, as many as we could in a half an hour, race by race by race. And in every one of the ones that we know about, the big high-profile ones, Cook Political Report right now rates them toss up, toss up, toss up, toss up, toss up. I mean, so underscoring your point, they're not decided for sure, but you can't say at this point that it's clearly, definitely going to be a Republican blowout. I mean, she says it's like 50-50.
They should be in a much more commanding position, because when you think of the states, we're talking about a lot of red states. I mean, states that the president lost by double digits, sometimes 20 points, were in a dead heat. And I think Cook is one of those organizations that, I mean, they don't just get happy talk.
No,
to make you feel better.
No.
They're pretty analytical. So,
it's interesting to look, for example, in New Hampshire, where President Obama's approval rating is about 36%, right? And Scott Brown is trailing Jeanne Shaheen.
Yeah.
He should be doing better.
Right.
Senator, to Julie's point about some of these things being put off, there's also, I keep hearing from people that immigration reform, we've put it off, but for the Republicans in the House even, let us get through the primaries and get those Tea Party challengers behind us, and then we're ready to do immigration reform. Now, the Senate has acted. Do you think really there's any hope for that this year? Julie's shaking her head no.
Was he supposed to tell the audience that you were shaking your head? No. Look, I hope that's part of their calculation, because that means we might actually get some kind of a breakthrough. But I think House and Senate Republicans make a big mistake if they think, let's just hold off until the end of 14 and then we'll fix it right before the 2016 election. I think that's I'd call it a high wire act, and they could fall because they're already heading for a terribly difficult 2016 presidential, and maybe even 2020 because of a number of issues, including immigration. They would be a lot better. I'm just talking pure politics here. They would be better off working with us and working with that incredible number and consensus that we got in the Senate, where you had 8 senators coming together on a bipartisan bill, and it passed the Senate overwhelmingly. So I think they're making a big mistake by constantly pushing away people. They need to build a bigger coalition.
Well, again, some Republican voices lately have made that point.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham did a few years ago, but recently Jeb Bush, what was it he called it?
An act of love, or
immigration, right? Coming here, talk about separating yourself from the pack, right?
So Bush family, right?
Exactly. Senator Bob Casey here from Pennsylvania with us, with me, and with Julie Mason from Sirius XM, and of course with all of you. You don't often get a chance to toss a question to a member of the United States Senate. Here's your opportunity. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 12 minutes before the top of the hour, Thursday morning, May 15. What a treat to have in studio with us. Julie Mason here as a friend of Bill, a great friend, host of the Julie Mason Show. Do you think they mind that we just changed their programming?
No, not at all, Bill. Okay. Whatever you say.
On the POTUS channel, of course, on Sirius XM, and public United States Senator, public servant, United States Senator from Pennsylvania, Senator Bob Casey. Senator, great to have you in studio. You see how close we are to the Capitol now. There's no excuse for not stopping by.
Run over anytime.
It's a really cool part of Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah. No, it's a great part of town, so just stop by on your way to work any morning.
I guess technically we were right just off Pennsylvania Avenue, but we're in the neighborhood. It's nice.
Yeah, good to have you with us. Talking about things that Congress there are actually some issues on which we might be able to see some progress, and both parties might come together. The ABLE Act, your legislation, tell us about it.
It's a great bill, and the reason we've got such great support in the Senate, we've got more than 70 co-sponsors. No other bill has that. The House has, I don't know the exact number, but it's over 350. And it's really simple. We've had as part of our tax law for years the ability to save for college, so-called 529 plans. This would be a 529 plan for families that have an individual with a disability. So if your child is born with Down syndrome, you can begin to save in a tax-free manner and not be penalized.
Yeah.
We were talking
Great
about
idea.
you as a grandfather. We heard a story recently where a grandparent had a Down syndrome grandson or daughter, I'm not sure which, from Pennsylvania, and this person said, I wanted to put money in the account on a birthday. Instead of giving them a present or a toy, give them money into account. And they were advised not to, because if it builds up too big, you can be penalized. You could lose SSI or Medicaid coverage. So this is a way to allow them to save in a tax-free manner. So you can build it up over time, and then when that child becomes an adult, it might be in the workforce, might need an apartment, might need money for transportation, they can get to work or they can get education or training and have that even if their parents years later have passed away. And that's the real fear of a lot of parents, is they care for this child all those years and sometimes decades, and then they worry that when they're gone, that person won't be able to support themselves.
What happens to them?
So it's a great bill. We have people on left, right, and middle supporting it, all four caucuses. So it could be a good moment in Washington when we get this done.
Has it passed the Senate?
Has not. We hope to get it through both chambers in June. That's what we're working on. So we need some good news here.
Absolutely, no.
It's one of those rare things where it's the right thing to do. It'll have a seismic impact on millions of families, and it's actually bipartisan.
No, congratulations.
Senator, you had mentioned that you had a lot of grassroots support for that.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, look, I'd like to pat legislators on the back. That's nice, but
not in this room.
The people, pretty dangerous to do that. The people who made this work were staffs in all four caucuses, number one, and number two, people at the grassroots level. So many advocates and families, families that have the Down Syndrome Society itself, but then individual families that I met in Pennsylvania and across the country. A lot of folks in the autism community who have been pushing for this for years and have made it a priority. And I think until that happened, there was legislative support, but the intensity, the momentum was created from those families.
Boy, that's really great. It's great to see this accomplishment. Congratulations, Senator.
We're not there yet, but we're in the...
Don't jinx him.
All right.
We got to get it over the goal line. We're working hard to do that.
All right, now let's get down and dirty here for the last minute or so that we've got. Who's the next governor of Pennsylvania?
The Democratic nominee.
Oh, all right.
No, we have a primary.
Right. Who's the Democratic nominee?
We have a primary Tuesday, and I have not endorsed anyone.
This is a good opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I could do that. I don't think they really were too worried about getting endorsements from senators, but in these days it may not be that helpful. But I'm only half kidding there. No,
is there a clear front runner?
There are four candidates that are all very strong. All of them I know. They're incredibly talented. Katie McGinty worked for Governor Rendell. She worked for President Clinton, Vice President Gore. Really capable person. Rob McCord, State Treasurer, in his second term as State Treasurer, someone I've known for years. Not as longer than Katie, but I've known Katie as well. Allison Schwartz, of course, a member of the House here.
Right.
Has had a great career in both the State Senate and now in the House since, I guess, 2004. And then Tom Wolfe, who's a businessman from York, Pennsylvania, put a lot of money into the race. The polling, the latest polling, the public polls show him ahead by double digits. I don't know where it will end up. Primaries can be sometimes difficult to predict because the turnout, when you have a
lot of it depends on turnout.
Field. Here's the interesting news, though, that in all the polling, when they match each candidate up against Governor Corbett, each of them are either ahead or tied with him, and some are ahead by more than just a few points. That in and of itself is remarkable. It means we have a very good chance, and I think a high likelihood of winning the general election, which is astounding in our state, because in our state, like a lot of states, once the governor gets elected,
Yeah.
Very hard to dislodge them. So could be a big win this year. We got to work hard to get there.
We got to be watching this, Julie. I had a debate the other day between some friends as to who was the worst governor in the country. Was it Governor Corbett of Pennsylvania or Governor LePage from Maine? So
Why are you putting Rick Scott out of contention?
Oh,
and Rick Perry, you haven't even mentioned him.
But
Been here for an hour.
It's interesting. A lot of this, and this is it's not that attenuated. A lot of these governor's races and legislative races, I think a lot of people here, members of Congress and others, are realizing that if we don't do a good job in our states electing Democratic governors, Democratic legislatures, we get killed in reapportionment 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. And it's one of the reasons why you have kind of Tea Party dominance in the House.
Bingo. That's why these midterm elections are so important. On that note, thank you so much, Senator
Bill,
Casey,
thank
for
you.
coming
Great to be
in
with
today.
you.
Nice to be with you. Julie.
Thank you, Bill.
Welcome back anytime.
Woo.
Congratulations again on the Gracie Award.
Thanks.
Okay. And we'll be right back and wrap it up.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Wendy? Oh, wherever.
No time for a parting shot today, just time to say thank you for being with us on this Thursday. Kevin Cirilli from The Hill will be joining us on the show tomorrow. So go out and have a great day and come back and see us right here again tomorrow morning. We'll be looking for you.
This is the Bill Press Show.